Hey everybody, this is William from the Godzilla Files coming at you today with a new video, and today we're going to be looking at the new Godzilla film, Godzilla Monster Planet, or Planet of the Monsters. Overall, definitely enjoyed it. Want to go into a little bit more detail though. I've gotten to watch it about 2 or 3 times since it's been released on Netflix. You should be able to kind of see it everywhere now, in English dubbed or subbed, however you want to watch it. Overall, it should be out everywhere worldwide. But before we get into the real details of what I liked and what I didn't like, I just want to warn everybody, I will be going into some spoilers, so if you haven't seen the film yet, go do it now and then come back and you can finish watching this video. So I just wanted to give everyone the heads up on that. But alright, let's get right into it. Alright, the first thing I want to get into are some of the things that I liked about the movie overall. First thing is, the story is pretty interesting. I like the idea that, kaijus have been attacking us for quite some time and now we have to leave the planet. In the beginning they kind of go through like news stations and different things like that on different kaiju attacks, which I actually thought would make for an interesting movie itself. It's almost like the Destroy All Monsters we never got to see. When we hear them attacking the cities, but we never really got to see them do that. So definitely something I would like more of. I know there is a prequel novel that kind of goes into this a little bit more, but that's only in Japan, which I don't see us ever getting, here in the United States, unfortunately, unless someone decides to translate it for us online, which you'd be my hero forever if you did that. But, I just don't see us getting that. The other thing is, it kind of builds up Godzilla in a way that basically makes you realize he's unstoppable. We know as fans of Godzilla that Godzilla is pretty much always portrayed like this, but, they really hammer home at the fact that, we might have been able to stand up against the other kaiju that have appeared, but this Godzilla completely wrecks us, destroys, cities, other kaijus, and even gets, any plans of attacks that we have completely useless. So, we have to leave Earth basically because of him. And that's kind of where our story starts for the most part. And like I said, I really like that. I thought overall the beginning is probably the most interesting. The other piece of the beginning of the story that I liked were the aliens coming down. Now, this is kind of a trope of Godzilla films, especially if you are a fan of the Showa series. Alien race comes down saying they're peaceful and then they turn out not to be. While we don't get to see if these aliens have like some kind of sinister intent for this whole entire world, because while they come down, they want to help us and get rid of Godzilla, we never get to see that actually happen. Basically, they build Mechagodzilla, and before they can actually activate him and kind of fight Godzilla, the base gets destroyed. Now you have this whole entire situation where we built this super weapon but never got to use it, so it's still on Earth as we're leaving. My opinion is, at least part of the story is getting back to Earth and maybe using Mechagodzilla to, take care of Godzilla. There's some things about Mechagodzilla. I'm assuming Mechagodzilla was built around the height and size of Godzilla when he first appeared. And one thing we'll kind of talk more about is that Godzilla's been on the planet now for 20,000 years, so he's evolved past that. So I'm kind of curious on how they're going to explain if Mechagodzilla can actually go up against this Godzilla. Another thing that I actually really liked was the main character's friend, the blonde alien leader. He is actually pretty interesting. He's one of the few characters that I actually really enjoyed when he was on screen. I find him interesting enough to want to see more of his story and what's going to happen as we go forward. And that's pretty rare, and I'll get into the things I don't like, but just understand, like, a lot of these characters are pretty generic, and he's one of the few that gets past that. So I'm very excited for the next films to go kind of forward with him. I'm hoping that he isn't just going to be an evil alien by the end of this. I hope there's something a little bit more to him, but we'll have to wait and find out. Another thing that I really liked was Godzilla. This is where the spoilers start coming in, at least heavy spoilers anyway. There's 2 Godzillas. The son of Godzilla and then actual Godzilla. So most of this film revolves around the son of Godzilla and us trying to defeat him, not realizing that Godzilla is just kind of napping somewhere. The son of Godzilla is really cool. He has the same characteristics of the Godzilla that we saw in the beginning of the film, and we just get to see him do more things, which I liked. I found the Godzilla in the beginning of the film interesting, the way he attacks and everything else like that. And they kind of go into the science behind Godzilla and his ability to attack and protect himself. So that's also another really cool thing that most films don't usually do. But once we do finally defeat him, and I'm not going to explain how we do it because I think it's a scene and a whole entire part of the film that you should watch for yourself because it is really cool. But once we defeat him, Godzilla actually appears, and he's massive, bigger than we ever could have expected him to be. I think this is probably the limit of how big Godzillas can get. I don't want to see any Godzilla bigger than this. I think it would just be a little ridiculous. This makes sense because he's been on the planet for 20,000 years evolving and basically being on top of the food chain. Now, he has some really cool moves, like his tail whip can actually send out like a beam of light that can destroy large areas, which was so cool. When he roars, or kind of uses what would, I guess, be his atomic breath in some ways, it's completely different. He's moved past just like the blue beam. I'm excited to see more of this Godzilla. He completely decimated the humans and alien soldiers alike, which, by the way, the end of this film is probably its strongest point. The last like 15, maybe 20 minutes are great. It's pure action. We deal with the son of Godzilla. Godzilla appears, and it really sets up the next film to the point where you're like, oh my god, I can't imagine what's going to happen next. Or even saying, where do we go from here? We've just gotten, we had one victory, which we finally thought we could take Godzilla on, and we thought we won the planet back, and now we've just taken like 5 steps back because this new Godzilla is something we've never seen before. So, that's all very exciting, and I hope, as these films go on, we kind of get more cool scenes, just like what we saw at the end of the film. So Godzilla is also not the only creature that is on this planet that we run across. We have some of these like dragon-like flying lizard things that attack the humans, and they're pretty cool. I mean, I think they're more used for us to kill something, for us to defeat something, for them to they always kind of appear at the worst times, and we find out that they're kind of part of the Godzilla family, but maybe far cousins or distant relatives and different things like that. So it's pretty interesting. I don't think they're going to play a much bigger role than what they did in this film. They are pretty terrifying. They are set up pretty well. The first time we see them, it is pretty horrifying, and as they attack. The other thing that I really liked about this film is actually the music. The music was done by the same composer who did Space Godzilla, and I believe he did one other Millennium series film. It is not your typical Godzilla soundtrack, I would say, and I think that actually works in its advantage. But besides that, everything else was pretty enjoyable about the film. There are some things that I didn't dislike, which I'm going to get to in just a moment. But I would say that, you guys are in for a good time. While I did enjoy this film overall, like I was just saying, there are some things that we should talk about. First off, the characters are boring and generic. The main character has probably one of the most uninteresting arcs in a film that I've seen in a very long time. If you've seen an anime, he's probably, the most generic anime character that you'll come across. And being a fan of anime and having seen a lot of it, it makes it that much worse. And I think that's the one big piece of this, is that this is an okay Godzilla film and an okay anime film. And when you put them together, they never become better than just okay. And I think a lot of this is the fact that this film is the first step in a trilogy, and the best kind of way to describe it is almost like the first couple of episodes of any anime series. It is a lot of world building, and so you got to get through all these kind of little things to get through to more of the action, and that's okay. But at the same time, like, I'm really hoping that these characters start becoming more interesting, because if the main character is pretty much the way he is now for the rest of the trilogy, it's going to be really hard to get behind him. I mean, I think pretty much almost every other line was that he was going to kill or attack Godzilla in some way, and it's just not that interesting. I understand that Godzilla killed his family, but I need more than that. There needs to be more to him. Also, I think one of the hardest parts about this film is the animation. While I think a lot of the animation does work, I think overall it's still not there. This definitely works more as a proof of concept that they can actually do an anime Godzilla film, in my opinion. So, as I have spoken about the characters, I think, moving forward, hoping the animation gets better. There are some really great stuff in this film, especially when you look at Godzilla. He looks great in this film. But other shots, though, like when you're looking around and especially when you're looking down at the forest just looks empty and not real. And I think it's a lot of the CGI. Even the characters, it's hard to see some emotions from them because of the fact that the CGI just isn't as detailed. So, I think that's going to cause a bit of an issue, for a lot of fans. I know I'm not a fan of the art style, but I think overall it's not as bad as a lot of people, especially myself, feared. But I think that's kind of about it. I mean, I think this is a great start to to, you know, a trilogy. I'm hoping that, you know, as we go forward, it gets better. I think that as we get the second movie, I'm hoping that when we look back at this film, we're going to be like, you know what, this wasn't actually as bad as we thought it was. I think the second film will strengthen this one. But yeah, overall, guys, let me know what you thought. I would love to kind of hear in the comments below if you liked it, if you think this was a good first step. So as always, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will talk with you later.